not practicing to beat somebody. We're practicing to beat everybody.
My expectation is we go out and dominate and create a nightmare and make people never want to play you again.
If you are playing another team and your coach is not out there doing everything that Kirby Smart is doing right now, you are already losing. You feel however you want to feel about that.
Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide for 4 quarters. They got to see us in our house for 4 quarters. They got to look us in the eye for 4. This is about us and our family and our house. This is about us. This is our mentality. We ain't backing down. We ain't running. Set a tone, send a message. This is our house. Physical toughness wins in football now. And if you in this room, you got it. If you come in here, you better believe in it. Because this physical toughness, it's what makes the difference. Elite focus. That's all I'm doing to the guy across from me. I'm fixing to whip his ass. Not in my box, not today. It's about us. It's about our family. We attack. You take that helmet and you strike them. And you strike them and you strike them. That's how you get respect. Physically, I want to break them.
Welcome in, Dog Nation. Are you guys as tired as I am? Did you get to go to Athens and check out G-Day? Well, we're going to talk about everything we saw today, everything we got into today, my takeaways from today, all of it, right here this evening with you on this special edition of the How About That Dawgscast. And I'm just going to have to jump in because there's a lot of places that we could begin. But I got to tell you, a couple of weeks ago, I posted a video that was something along the lines of Georgia is scary. And this is why. And I was talking about, we know the kind of roster that Kirby Smart has. We understand the kind of players that they recruit. And in today's world of NIL and transfer portal, there are a lot of guys who move all over the place. And Georgia is just not that way. Like, take this past transfer portal as an example. The Dogs only took 9 transfers total. And I forget the total number that they lost right off the top of my head, but it was somewhere in the same ballpark. It was like 8 or 9. And several of those were not even things that you were surprised to see. And the ones that may have surprised you, like there was one cornerback, even with that move, and you know that that kid's going to be a good player, you're still looking at Georgia and going, it's all right. It'll be fine. And that's just how we sleep well at night as Bulldog fans, because we know that the cupboard is never bare in Athens. The question is, exactly what does the china look like, right? Let me tell you, friends, that was a couple weeks ago. I knew that if those young players come together, Georgia could do something special. Today at G-Day, the Dogs unlocked a new level of scary for 2026. The thing that is the bleeding edge, the tip of the spear for what makes Georgia even more dangerous here in 2026 is the depth that they showed today at G-Day. There were some wonderful individual performances. We're going to run through several of those. We're going to talk about what stood out to me. But top to bottom, this was a really good day for Georgia. Now, there are injuries. We'll touch on those too. But I want you to keep that in mind as we talk about this other stuff, because Georgia was without more than a handful of the players that they expect to be frontline guys here in the fall. They even lost Nate Frazier after the first carry today. Nothing serious. He just re-aggravated an ankle, so they just took him out to be safe. But he wasn't on the field, which means that we got to see that depth. And it didn't matter where you looked. We could look at running back. You've heard me talk about the offensive line, how they're rolling through 15 and cross-training them all. You've heard me talk about how amazing I think that inside linebacker room is. All the possibilities at the outside linebacker and edge positions. The defensive line, how quietly depth and steady they look. And on the back end, there's just dudes rolling through there. I don't have a count on them like I do on the offensive line, but every time I looked up, it was a transfer who's in here making a play. It was a true freshman who was in here making a play. And again, y'all know how I feel about that. You know how Kirby feels about that. If you are good enough, you are old enough to play. And man, that's what we saw today in Athens. I walked out of the stadium today thinking, man, okay, well, I'm going to recalibrate some stuff. Because if you take all these young players, you continue to grow them, and then you add back in the dudes that you were counting on already who weren't even on the field today, this team looks like a tall order. And I don't really care who they're lining up against. So we'll get into all that stuff. But first, let me say welcome in to everybody who's here. Thanks for showing up with me here after G-Day. I'm just going to shoot y'all straight. The sun was out. It was hot. I'm tired. There's a lot of walking, but I was fired up to come do this stream tonight because I knew that you guys would be fired up to be in here with me. So I want to say thank you for jumping in here with me. Let's see. Who do we see? I know that Carol's in here. Welcome. Bruce is in here. Welcome. I believe I saw, who did I see? There's Timothy. Yes, Timothy's in here. Welcome. Mickey Wilbanks is in here. Good to see you, friend. Good to see you. Sand Mountain, Alabama. That's right. Hey, Kim, what's up? Good to see you in here tonight. There's old DSG. He's riding with us again. Amy, welcome. Welcome in, Amy. It was great meeting you today, too. That was fantastic. Anybody else? Did I miss anybody yet? Robert Blackwell, welcome in, friend. It's good to see you. It is good to see all you folks in here with us. Josh, welcome in, friend. Good to see you in here, too. This is fantastic. Man, I'm fired up. Y'all are getting me all kind of juiced up. So bear with me. I might have to drink some water. You got to hydrate after a day like today, but we'll get through it. All right. So here, the reason we're all here tonight is G-Day. Of course, this is what it was all about. And like you would expect, Athens on a game day, it was a nice feel. Now, granted, it was spring. So yes, everybody's just happy. That's the feeling I walked away from today. There was a buzz, but it wasn't like a crazy hype buzz. It was just kind of like, man, everybody's just out here having a good time. Everybody's getting along in the stands. Everybody's getting along on the walk-in. It was nice. And there's all kinds of other stuff going on around Athens today. You probably noticed there's a bike race earlier today. This morning, I was at a signing event with Georgia Sports Autographs. So you had the likes of Keely Ringo and Dan Jackson and Stetson Bennett in the house today. Oscar Delp was still around, and some of those dudes made their way over to the stadium. And at the spring game, that's where you get the hardware, baby. That's where all of the 2025 team come on back and say, hey, ring me. So the dudes got all their rings today. You can find those online. Check them out. They look sharp. I'll tell you what, it was just a happy day, and as long as you were drinking your water, then you were in good shape. I see more people jumping in here. What's up, Levante Trust? Good to see you, friend. And we have MHKO9WC. Yes, we're going to talk about Peanut. Don't you worry. There's my man, Steele. What's up, buddy? Good to see you making it in here. So Athens was right for today. Athens was right for G-Day. It was beautiful. It was warm. Not going to lie. It was warm, but it was beautiful. Now, I'm going to be bouncing around here because, this is all happening so fast, just getting back home and getting on the stream. So y'all bear with me. I'm going to be looking at some notes and stuff, but we're going to talk through all this stuff because I got to tell you what, man, there was a lot of good if you were watching in Athens today. And this thing was on ESPN Plus. So if you were watching at home, you probably saw it a little bit better than we did. And for those of us that were in the stadium, I can't wait till they put that thing up on replay. I'm definitely going to hit the old DVR and go back and watch it again and see all the stuff I missed because I know that happens. I mean, I was there with the family today. I wasn't working, right? I was there with the family. So I'm hanging out with my ladies and we're doing our stuff and, you miss things. But I'll tell you what I didn't miss. And that's what I said earlier, that this team is deep and talented. And I am excited to talk to you about it because the first place we can start, I told you on the show the other night that don't forget to sit back and enjoy just how good these Georgia inside linebackers are. Today, they showed you exactly why. Justin Williams and Chris Cole are fantastic football players. Now, I mentioned Zayden the other night. He didn't get to participate today with his shoulder, but we know what he can do and what we can expect him to do. And you've got the young guys like AJ Crua out there making waves. You've just got guys like Raylan Wilson, who's come back now, but he didn't go today. They took a little shot with it. His knee was bothering him a little bit. So they were like, we're going to be precautionary. He's not going to play. But that's fine because you still saw those dudes running around making plays all over the place. I want to, and this is how this stream's going to be. I'm going to ping pong around. So there was a play. Chris Cole was doing Chris Cole stuff. He was covering people in pass pro. He was rushing the passer occasionally. He was sticking his nose in the fan there along the line of scrimmage in the run game. Chris Cole was doing what he's doing. This dude's going to have a great year. As long as he stays healthy, just get ready. He's going to have a great year. And that's because he can't help but have a great year. I mean, the kid lives right. He is all about the University of Georgia. He's physically gifted. It's going to be so much fun to watch him play. Justin Williams today, I want to tell you a quick little thing I noticed about Justin on a couple of plays. One, this was in the second half, I believe it was. There was a play where everything's blocked up fine. The hole opens up perfectly. Justin Williams steps into the hole. The running back was Dante Dowdell, the transfer from Kentucky. And Justin had him dead to rights. But then he dove, kind of dropped his head a little bit, kind of dove at Dowdell's feet. Dowdell just went all no Sean Moreno on him, right? Todd Gurley. He said, oops, hurdled him, hit the ground running, took off for 20, 30 yards down the field. So wait, process what you just saw. First off, understand what a player Justin Williams is, and then understand what Dante Dowdell just did to him. Okay? So there's a couple of tremendous things right there. And that hole was perfect. And then you had that happen in the hole, and then Dowdell took care of it. So props to Dowdell. We'll talk about more, the running game a little bit later. But then here's why I'm bringing this up right now, because I was talking about Justin Williams. Tremendous player. It was the very next play. And if it wasn't the very next play, it was the play after that. Justin Williams, middle linebacker. They turn around and hand the ball off to Chauncey Billups. Same look. Hole opens up. Justin Williams sees it, attacks it, and absolutely drills Chauncey Billups for a 2-3 yard loss right there in the hole. It's like he was a little embarrassed, a little pissed off that he just got, showed up by old Dowdell. That's what you want to see. You're not going to be perfect every play. But then he made it right on the very next play. I mean, I'm just telling you, these middle linebackers, I hope you were paying attention because they were great today. And I expect that that's going to be the case throughout the course of the rest of the season. And there's some other stuff that we're going to get to here. But when you look at snapshots of what happened today, first off, I mean, I want to talk just a second about Amaris Williams, right? It was such a bummer news that he got hurt. Did I say Chauncey Billups? Did I say that? Sorry, Brad. Chauncey Bowens. Too many years watching too much NBA. There you go. Chauncey Bowens. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So yes, Amaris Williams, he gets hurt. We get that news. That sucks. There's no two good ways about it. But then Kirby talked about it, before that injury, because he was talking about his roster, which is what this show tonight really is all about anyway, is about Georgia's roster and their depth and how they should be able to manage these kind of things. Now, make no mistake, it hurts that Amaris Williams isn't going to be there. I did a video on that the other day. Go check it out. You see all my thoughts. But the thing that Kirby was talking about prior to that injury still holds true. And I've got the words right here in front of me. In his recent interview, I think it was on 680 The Fan, he says, now that you're fixed, right, with just one transfer portal window, and now you know what your roster is once you get into your spring game and then beyond, he says, now that you're fixed, it puts a little more pressure on you, the program, the team, however you want to think about it. Can you get your roster better than their roster, meaning your opponents? Can you improve your kids more than they improve their kids? Because you can't go out and just change kids now and get somebody else. So you got to take your roster and develop them. If you've been watching, for the last couple of weeks, all I've been talking about is the importance of the growth and development of these young players, especially at that edge position, and all the reasons why. Then Amaris Williams gets hurt. And Kirby, he gave this quote just a couple of days ago. He's standing pat, and he's like, you got to do your job as a coach. You got to get great players. You got to grow them up, and you got to develop them. And you got to get your 22 ready faster than the other dude can get his 22 ready. And that's what it looks like is happening. And specifically, with the Williams situation, we saw young players flash today. We saw Chase Linton do some really good things. We saw Isaiah Gibson do some really good things out there on that edge. Remember, Gabe Harris wasn't out there. We saw Quintavious Johnson look every bit of a guy who's in year 2, and he made some plays, set some edge in the run game, got a quarterback pressure or two. So there are dudes growing up out there, and they're only going to get better as we move through this thing. But the other night, I told you, man, when Amaris Williams gets hurt, that opens up some reps. Watch out for Kamari Brooks. And what did we see today? A batted pass, at least 2 sacks he was credited with. The young man, I understand it's G-Day, but the young man is coming in as a guy who is a pass rush specialist. Like he can really do that. If he continues on his trajectory of growth, by the time we get into the back half of the year, especially just like last year with Zayden Walker, Kamari Brooks is a name that's going to be, being called out in the stadium. So just get ready. He has to play now. You got to grow up and be ready to go. And I don't like to talk about it a lot, but it's the new reality in college football. Remember, all of these dudes, all of them are getting paid. They're getting paid to be out there. So if it's your job, which in essence it is, then you need to be ready to go. And I think they all get that, especially at a place like Georgia because of the way they run the program. So there you go. So those are my thoughts on the Amaris Williams injury and what we saw today at G-Day. But here's some other things. Like we know, like I mentioned earlier, Nate Frazier twisted his ankle a little bit. They were like, get out of there, Nate. We're not going to worry about it. So we didn't see a whole lot of him. DeMello Jones didn't go today. Ellis Robinson didn't go today, which for a couple of reasons is why we saw the ball go down the field a little bit more today. Georgia was taking shots. I told you they would. Why would you run the ball too much in a game like this? You don't want to get anybody hurt. You want to see what you have at wide receiver. But then you roll out there and you don't have your top 2 corners. Yeah, let's throw the ball down the field and see what happens. And we saw some plays get made. So that was pretty cool. I mentioned that Raylan Wilson didn't go today. He had a little something flare up with his knee. So they just said, you know what? Don't even worry about it. We're not going to do this. Zayden didn't go. Told you that. And after all that, the red team came away with a win today by 10, 27-17, for whatever that's worth. In my family, I lost the bet. I was betting on black, Wesley Snipes, and it didn't turn out for me today. So that's okay. That's all right, though. Now, I did talk a little bit about the quarterbacks heading into this thing, not Gunner necessarily. I mean, we want to see him working on some stuff. I was talking more about that QB2 situation, who was leading, who was not. And I had held the position that Ryan Montgomery was being sneaky good this spring based on what I had heard, a couple other things I had seen. I'm like, I think Ryan Montgomery here is going to make this, more fun as a competition here in the spring. I don't know who's going to win the thing, but I know that they're going to battle it out. And today, what we saw on the field, and keep in mind, none of this is going to be decided by the 2 or 3 hours we watched today. So just get that out of your head. But today, Ryan Puglisi, he made a play or two here or there, but overall, he didn't look that good. He didn't have guys help him out. It wasn't a great day for him. Ryan Montgomery, on the other hand, even though he had an interception, for the most part, Ryan Montgomery threw a really nice ball. He pushed the ball down the field, and it was very catchable, and guys made plays for him. So at the end of the day, you're like, all right, I see you, Ryan, 10 of 18, 132. He did some things. So Hezekiah Millender got in there, got some action. We saw that. We saw Bryson Beaver, who that's a nice looking quarterback, true freshman, rolling out there. He gets into Athens. Everything's spinning wild around him. We can tell that young man's got an arm. He likes to give his dudes a chance. We saw that over and over and over today when he put the ball down the field. That kid looks like he could be something really nice. Let him grow and develop right now. That looks like a good pickup for Georgia. I was really happy to see how well he played. But back to QB2. We don't know how that thing's going to shake out. Word late this week was that Puglisi was out in front and there's nothing going on there. Okay. But I just think Monty's not going anywhere. And he showed a lot today that would make you say, all right, I see you, Ryan. I see you out there. All right. So now the headline from today, though, has to be, I think, Now, I mean, we just talked about the quarterbacks, right? And we talked about what those wide receivers were doing. But I got to tell you, among those wide receiver groups, because if those quarterbacks were doing stuff, somebody had to be catching the ball, right? The guy who had the ball come his way seemingly all day was Craig Dandridge. They gave him shot after shot after shot to make a play. And I said the other night, watch who's on the field with who. We saw Thomas Blackshear out there. We saw CJ Wiley out there. But Dandridge, I mean, he was very early in the rotation and again was on the field for a lot of snaps and the ball just seemed to find him. So maybe I don't know if they were making a point to do that, to see if you could do it, with fans in the stands. I'm not sure, but the one thing's for sure, the ball came his way and, it was fun to see what he could do. He made one catch that didn't count from Gunner. That was nice. And that was really on Gunner. The ball faded out of bounds and Dandridge, got himself turned around and still made a play on it. The young kid showed me enough to understand why he is a real consideration for seeing playing time here in 2026. So he was just one of several, though. Talon Taylor made a couple of nice plays, one of which Ryan Puglisi threw to him. So we saw a little bit of the flash from number one. And it's clear that he was going to be on the field all the time. He was out there just as much more than Dandridge was. We didn't get to see Sakovi White Hilton today, though. He was held out. He didn't get to go. But the rest of those wide receivers, there were plenty of balls in the air and they had plenty of opportunity. But the stars of the show had to be the tight ends. Jaden Riddell, man, have a day. Have a day. I mean, the quarterback, something I noticed was that it seemed like they were moving the quarterbacks more, whether it was off of fake pitch action and then roll them out the other way, and they were looking for the tight ends for the dump, or the drag route across the middle. They seemed to go to that play a lot. And it didn't matter who it was. It was Gunner, it was Ryan, it was Ryan Montgomery and Ryan Puglisi. They all did this same kind of action. So it really looked like, man, the tight ends are the first read on this thing most of the time, whether, again, it's the little out and up or whether it's that drag route. But you could do a lot off of that. And it was kind of cool to see because they know they have athletic quarterbacks. So move the launching point and let them have an option, run pass option. And oh, by the way, if somebody comes at you, hand it off to this monster of a tight end you got over here. We saw Elias Williams catch that pass a lot today. We saw Jaden Riddell. We saw Lawson Lucky have some thrown his way. Ethan Barber had some come his way. Same kind of stuff, but man, they were used a lot today. And for all those people who were like, what is Bobo doing? He's got all these weapons. We saw today that something's cooking. I don't know what that's going to look like when the season gets here, but they're working on some stuff to make sure they use those guys. And here's how I know. Think back and listen, don't come at me. All right. I'm not drawing a comparison here. Okay. I'm telling you that today they used Jaden Riddell like they used Brock Bowers. And what do I mean? Jaden Riddell, I've said over and over and over, he is just a physical mismatch. Doesn't matter who you put him up against. Safety, he's faster, right? Star, he's bigger. Linebacker, he's more agile. Like he can whip anybody in a one-to-one matchup. And today we saw that translated into just him being an athlete, and they handed the ball to him the way they used to do Brock Bowers. They'd bring him in motion quick and hand it to the tight end, not the speed sweep, not the wide receiver, to this big tight end who looks like a tailback and can run like one too. And Riddell had a nice 20, 30-yard run around the end. Man, that's a weapon. Think back to how they used Brock with that. That is an absolute weapon. Could the other guys do that? Yeah, but they can do other things. Riddell seems to be the perfect body type for that kind of play. So that was how the day got started. Then after the long run to get him down there, they raised right up. He runs a little inside slant. They put the ball on him, touchdown, Jaden Riddell. He just seemed to have a great day. Every time I looked up, it seemed like he was doing something cool. So Jaden Riddell and those tight ends, they were showing out today. There were others that went out there and did some good stuff today. He had a big day. Riddell did, right? He had a touchdown, 23-yard run on the end around, like I mentioned. And they're talking about him as being one of the most explosive, most improved players from last year to this year, and how he had been working in the spring, and it showed up today. And that's what you got to like. If you can take it from the practice field and put it on the game day tape, then you've done something. Well, Colton Heinrich, another tight end, did you even know that name? He had a really nice catch today, a 48-yard grab where he took a shot from the safety, still all hands on the ball, and then turned it upfield and made a play. So that was awesome to see. Ethan Barbour had 45 yards. Elias Williams had a catch, right? So those tight ends were out there doing work, including the young man that I'm about to mention, Caden Prothro. You've heard me talking about him recently. Early in the game, I was like, I kind of feel bad because the kid, it didn't work out for him. They threw to him a couple of times. The ball wasn't right. He didn't really have a great shot at it. I think he might have dropped one. I was like, I was hoping he'd have a better day today. Yeah, then the second half came, and they just kept going to him. And I was quickly understanding why. Because all throughout the day, and I'll have to look at the tape and stuff and go back and listen to my notes, but they were flexing a tight end out into 4 wide a lot today. Riddell did this, Prothro did this. And when you look at Caden on the field, I kept going, man, that's a big dude. And it didn't click in my head who it was the first 2 or 3 times I saw him. I'm like, yeah, that dude looks big. And they just kept throwing the ball to him. In the second half, though, they started, and I think Montgomery had a ball that he sent to him where he put it up. It was kind of a down the seam, down the numbers route. He put the ball up, and then you saw Caden do what he did all through high school. He just went Stretch Armstrong and elevated above everybody else. Pulled the ball. There were 2 or 3 defenders around him. He just snagged it, comes down, 20-yard gain. Done. Brilliant. I was like, I don't need to see anything else. That's why you're going to get him on the field in 26, and you're going to figure out a way to do it. And I don't even know how it's going to happen. Okay? Not my job. But you're going to get him on the field because you can't not. Because it's kind of like Riddell. The matchup is insane. And then when they got down to the goal line, here I think it was Bryson Beaver, maybe, who made this throw. Same deal. They had Prothro matched up one-on-one. I think it was maybe the young kid from Valdosta who had an interception earlier in the game, who had a great game, by the way. So, but he was one-on-one with Caden. No shot. No shot. Physically, no chance to defend him. Caden goes out a little out and up, a little corner route or whatever. Beaver saw him, said, yeah, I'm just going to put it up. And old Prothro just said, yeah, give me that. I'll take that right now. 6. And that's exactly what happened. Man, it was pretty. That's why he's going to play. Freshmen, don't matter. That's why you go get these dudes. And you get more than one. Because again, he's in the room with Austin Lucky. Right? He's in the room with Jaden Riddell and Elias Williams and Colton Heinrich. Vogel had a tremendous catch today. Got to get him on the field. And they're working to do that. So I feel really excited about that part of it all. Now, let's see what else. All right, so here, let's talk about the run game a little bit. I said, Frazier went out early, dinged his ankle, nothing to be concerned about, totally precautionary. Who had a good day? Well, I mentioned Dowdell. That dude got my attention. I mean, I remember watching him at Kentucky, but he runs sneaky fast. He's plenty agile. And yeah, they said this dude, he hits it up in there hard. He could be your big back, your power back. Oh yeah, I believe it. Because he got loose today for a 20-yard run. And then at the end, instead of running out of bounds, yeah, I'm going to drop my shoulder right here. We're going to make a point. I'm going to introduce myself to Dog Nation right now. And he just flat run over whoever the DB was that was there. Sorry. Didn't get the number on that, that truck that just got rolled right there because Mr. Dowdell said hello. And I told you about what he did to Justin Williams. That dude, he got my attention today too. The other dude, Dwight Phillips Jr. Yeah. Peanut showed up and, kind of showed out today. Like we had heard all this spring that he was getting things done. And it's not like he had some huge run. It's not like he was just running away from everybody. None of that. I think he finished with under 30 yards, but you can see There was a play or two where you like bang, bang, bounce, bounce. And then he had a nice opportunity to get some yards. He got the ball up the field and did what you're supposed to do with it, because people have tried to pigeonhole him as a bit of a gadget guy, like jet sweep guy, or let me throw it to you kind of guy. Maybe he could do all those things. But today I saw him run the way a tailback runs, which we just hadn't had much of an opportunity since early last year to see him do. And he is not afraid to hit it up in there between the tackles. They had a really nice touchdown run. Hit it up in there hard, bounced it outside, backed his way in the end zone, touchdown. Dwight Phillips Jr., he's going to play. He's going to play. While we're talking about the running backs, Jay Lamar showed up. He did a little something today too. I was enjoying watching him play, young true freshman getting out there trying some stuff. But at the end of the day, it was Phillips who stood out to me. And again, part of that could be because Frazier didn't play a lot. But Peanut got out there and did some stuff, and that was really cool. And Chauncey Bowens, he looked really good. Like, it could be the change in number. It could be maybe he just really has had a tremendous offseason, but he looked really good. And, he ran the ball hard. All the backs ran the ball hard. But there's just nothing that like leaps out to me about what he did today. But that doesn't mean he didn't perform well. He did a good job today too. So I don't want to slight him if it seems that I am, because that is not at all what I'm trying to do. And when you look at the offensive line, which is something I've talked about a lot in recent weeks, but not right here recently, there was a lot going on there too, in terms of who was playing and where and who they were playing with. And I mentioned that there's 15 dudes that they're rolling through there, and that's amazing. But the best part about it is how they're not just locked into one spot. I have notes, audio notes. I may throw them up on the private podcast over on How About Them Dogs Plus, just so you guys can listen to me in real time, talk it out. But I was trying to get down who was lined up next to who and who was playing what different positions. But today I saw Juan Gaston play right tackle. I saw Juan Gaston play right guard. I saw, Ernest Green play left guard. And then if you get deeper, I saw Jaw Jackson play right tackle. I saw him play left tackle, right? I saw Juan Gaston play left tackle for a beat, I believe. It's exciting when you see these guys move around across the lines of scrimmage like that. I saw the young man, again, Bobo's out at center. So I saw the young man, I believe it's Cortez Smith. He was running with the ones today, and Malachi Tolliver was what I would call the twos on the black team over there. They both played really well. Dontrell Glover played really well. I saw Daniel Calhoun get out there and get some work in. I saw the freshman, Kenny Igboko, get out there today at one of the tackles and play a lot. They're going to have depth. All they got to do is figure out which are our best five, because they're going to have guys that can roll in, keep people fresh. And then if something does happen to somebody, they got bodies that can fill those in. I feel pretty damn good about the offensive line right now. Now, there were times when I was like, look at that pass pro. I'm not so sure about that. And then I remembered there's this whole other thing that's happening on the other side of the ball. He happens to wear number 90, Elijah Griffin. Seemed to be a problem all day. Seemed to be pushing the middle of that pocket all day. So I'm going to forgive. I'm going to forgive this next young man that I'm about to tell you about a little bit, because the other name that I saw out there on the offensive line that just, I don't know that he ever came off the field, Zakai Helton. Think back to what I said in my last video leading up to this game. Watch out for these names. Kenny Igboko getting it done. Zakai Helton getting it done. These young centers. Man, it was cool to see. So you've got Cortez Smith right there. You've got maybe Juan Gaston on one side, and you've got Zakai Helton on the other. Or if that wasn't the situation, maybe you had Dontrell Glover on one side, and then you got Zakai Helton at the other guard. Zakai Helton, I don't know that I saw him come off the field. He was on special teams. He was on extra point field goal. that dude, just like I thought, is going to be a player. So that depth along the offensive line is really nice, and it is awesome to see them out there doing all these different things, and especially with those young dudes getting it done, because that's important. But speaking of young dudes, and we've already talked about the edge a little bit, and we've talked about those, defensive ends and Amaris Williams and stuff. But Kamari Brooks, like I said, he had 2 sacks. Another young freshman out there getting it done. Todd Robinson, that's the name I couldn't remember earlier. The kid from Valdosta who had the interception, really nice. And oh, by the way, just like in that video I mentioned the other night, watch out. Here comes Tyreek Boogie Green, football player. Just that simple. He played both ways for Buford last year. You could immediately see today when he was on the field why. And you can see why he's going to play for Georgia this year. I don't know exactly how, right? There's only so many people you can put in the defensive secondary at one time. But I saw him also back returning punts. So Tyreek Boogie Green, he's going to have a chance to make some plays for the Dogs this year, and he's earning it based on what I saw today. That was pretty nice. AJ Crua, another one of those names I told you to look out for, is the middle linebacker. He had a sack today. So I am feeling pretty doggone good about what was going on. I'll tell you this. I mentioned the names we didn't see, right? Ellis Robinson, DeMello Jones, Raylan Wilson, Gabe Harris, Drew Bobo, Sokovia White Helton, and Jamarly Riddle. I thought Jamarly Riddle got in the game late. Maybe I mistook that. Yeah, I thought I saw him out there, though. Number 12, I'd have to double check that to be sure. But Elijah Griffin, remember the other night I said, we know he's supposed to be good. Well, he looked every bit of what we've heard this spring. I said, but what he does and how it impacts those edge guys. And yeah, that's what happened. When you're pushing that middle and the quarterback's like, oops, can't step up. What am I going to do? And he starts to drift right or left. You get those guys like Kamari Brooks, Quintavious Johnson, right? Getting those quarterback pressures, those sacks. That's just how it works, man. I saw Joseph Jonah Ajanye get a nice push once or twice. Braylon Conley, the transfer from USC. Granted, today's not the most diverse playbook you're ever going to see, but he was just always around the ball. The ball comes his way, he's making a play. So that has to bode well for him. They said he had been doing a good job. He showed up that way today. Is he going to be good enough to unseat Khalil Barnes or whoever, any one of the corners? I don't know about that. But the young man can play football, and he was out there today getting it done. So that was cool to see. That was nice. Chase Linton, he was rotating with the ones. I talked about him the other night at that edge position. What are we going to see? I saw him play the run. I also saw him get reached, give up an edge run, at least one time. So a little good, a little bad, right? Talon Taylor, he was also back returning punts. These dudes, the cool thing about it is that, again, the thing that makes them really scary right now, we knew they were talented. Today showed us that depth is real. And when you're talking about the new college football playoff format, that's everything. It's everything. I mean, we're talking about guys that Georgia has recruited, that have bought into the program. Georgia decided to invest in to keep them around. And now they're growing up, growing together, and they are building that depth that makes good teams great. It's what separates you in the fourth quarter, and we're seeing that right now. Let's see. What else happened today? A name that I have not heard, but I asked about earlier this spring is Nasir Johnson. Huge young man from here in Georgia, down in Dublin. And I was like, where is he? Why am I not hearing about him on the defensive line? And the response I got was, well, I really just kind of forgot about him. I hadn't heard a whole lot from him. And I just had a feeling, I'm like, I don't know, these workout videos I'm seeing him with his teammates. Why aren't I hearing more about him? Today, Nasir Johnson was rotating with the ones along the defensive line for the Dogs. Does that mean that he's going to unseat Ogboko there in the middle? That he's going to cost Elijah Griffin playing time? No. But what it does mean is that depth that I'm talking about is just that much greater than maybe even the most plugged in people were aware of just a few weeks ago. Because again, he's a mountain of a man. I'm not, again, don't come for me. I'm not saying this, but think about what Jordan Davis did when he was in the middle of the Dawgs line. He could control everything going on in there, take up 2, maybe 3 blockers occasionally. That's the kind of size that Nasir Johnson has. Not exactly the same, but he's that kind of body. If he gets his motor right and figures out what he's doing, think about what a difference that's going to make. Because now you would have a Boko in the middle. You would have Johnson who could come in and spell him a little bit. And then you've got all the other guys along the defensive line that are already a little bit more experienced. Justin Green, there's a lot to be happy about. Josh Horton in there doing work. Maybe not the most flashy group. Maybe not the most names you recognize. But I just think there's some good stuff happening along that defensive line for Georgia. So I'm going to be paying attention to that. Xavier McLeod had a good day today. There were a whole lot of batted balls. Kamari Brooks had one. Xavier McLeod had one. And, guys getting hands up in the passing lane. It's not, I don't know how you credit it, right? I don't know if you credit that as havoc, but when the ball's up and nobody knows where it's going, there's a chance you could come down with it. So if at worst, you bat down the ball, you cost them a down, you move to the next play. At best, it hangs up there and you get a pick, right? So there are a lot of good things to see on that front as well. There were, again, I mentioned Dante Dowdell, a guy who really jumped out to me, got my attention today. I thought that was pretty cool. Who else do I want to mention today? I mean, there was just so much that was going on. It's hard to get to it all. But again, I'm just going to come back to where I was at the beginning because that's the kind of stream this is. It's this team, we knew they were talented. And now we know that they are for real when it comes to the depth part. We understand that, yes, they're young. Kirby knows that. Everybody knows that. But they are skilled and they're growing up and they're getting reps at Georgia in a way that they would not get at any other university across college football. Nobody practices like Georgia. That's the thing they sell. Yeah, you can't play them all. But these guys are getting quality reps against the best players in the country. And when they get their opportunity, they're going to be ready to go. We saw that today. So we get a little peek behind the curtain when, is everything we're hearing true? And then we see them go out there and play like they played today. Not perfect. It's a spring game. But you got to see the bigger picture of what's happening. And it was really cool to see what those guys were able to put out there for us today. I really enjoyed that. All right, let's jump back over here for a second. I hadn't looked in the chat for a minute. I know how far I am behind, and appreciate y'all for keeping the chat moving like that to make me so far behind. I want to see if there's anybody in here that I haven't talked to yet. I want to welcome everybody in case I happen to miss you right there. Brad Chevalier, checking in from Central Mississippi. That's what I'm talking about. How about them? Brad, welcome in, friends. Good to see you. I shouted out my guy Steele a little bit earlier. There's David Ivey. Look at this. Tucson, Arizona. That's what I want to see right there. I appreciate it, fellas. I appreciate it. And see, Brad's got it right. He's like, man, watching these young pups ball out was awesome. Pro throw is a problem. Exactly right, friend. Wiley, again, I'm not going to knock these dudes on one day. I could see that by watching Wiley go about his work, I could see why he's getting opportunities. Work it out, kid. He'll get there. He'll get there. What else we got? Let's see. There's Motivated Dedicated. Welcome in, man. Yes, Dowdell ran strong today. And yes, Jaden Riddell. We talked about him a lot. Yes, I know, Brad. Chauncey Bowens, yes. What else we got? 21 Bulldog all day says, what's up? Yes, I know, Bowens. I appreciate you being in here. Thanks for dropping a little something in the chat here, keeping me straight. I told you, man, I'm tired. Sun tired. Anybody else sun tired? I got to drink some more water. Bruce, what's good? See you, friend. Corey's in here. Corey Jackson, go Dogs. Welcome in. Carol holding it down like always. Appreciate you being in here with us. What else we got? Will Clapton's in here. Good to see you. What else? Who else? If I hadn't got to you yet, please drop something in the chat. Let me say hello. Scuttlebutt Media, welcome in. Aloha, friend. Good to see you back in here with us. My guy Bruce hanging out. There's Justin 8006, year 2, looking to build off last year. He's talking about Gunnar Stockton. I'm telling you, I think they figured out a little bit about what they're going to try to do with him, right? Move that launch point, get the ball in the hands of those playmakers, and let them do work. Don't be afraid to send the ball down the field. And we saw that today. We saw Gunnar take a shot or two down the field. But again, given what was going on the defensive side, that's not surprising, really. We thought that's probably what we'd see. And Scott Anderson chimes in here. He's like, I think Puglisi might get passed up. Listen, if you're watching my stuff, I started talking about it in December, and none of us know because we don't get to see practice every day. None of us. None of the beat writers, none of us. But you can just put 2 and 2 together if you know what you're looking for. And again, Puglisi's got a year on Montgomery, right? He's got a full year in the playbook. He should know where to go with the ball every time it's snapped. He should have the pre-snap reads down. But I got to tell you, he and Buddha, Hezekiah Millender, the thing I kept noticing about the way they threw the ball, like okay, perfect example. Ryan Puglisi had an opportunity to hit CJ Wiley on a deep post. Wiley had his man beat, and Puglisi saw him, and he's like, oops, got to get it up. But instead of setting his feet, driving from the ground, and throwing the ball down the field with intent, he did that hop thing and did it with mostly all arm. Didn't drive off his back foot, kind of jumped. The ball hung up. The defensive back recovered, and you've got an incomplete pass. I saw Buddha do the same thing. I know that these kids are getting reps, but some of that stuff with these dudes that have big arms, like those 2 players, they're like, my arm's so good, I don't have to worry about the fundamentals. Yeah, you do. And that's a prime example. He could have had Wiley for a touchdown, and yet he got all Brett Favre-ish, kind of jumped and slung it with his right arm, didn't drive the football down the field, incomplete pass. So I'm just saying, the thing about Ryan Montgomery is that he's finally healthy. He throws a beautiful catchable ball. He's getting more and more comfortable with where to go with it. And fundamentally, he's, to my eye, more sound than Puglisi is. So if everything else is equal, that's how you lose that year of advantage of being backup quarterback last year, right? You have to get better. It's the little things that separate these dudes. It's not the big things. They all can play. The thing is, who's going to take care of the ball, be responsible, do the little things right? That's what they mean when they say, I'm working on my craft. I don't know that in that regard, I would say that Puglisi has been. And if you mess around, Ryan Montgomery is good enough to make that a very interesting discussion. Again, I've heard people say Puglisi's way out in front, as he should be. If that's true, he should be. But then I know what I saw today too, where basic fundamental issues like that, again, a guy this far into the system, he should know where the ball's going. And old Ryan Montgomery just making good throws. He was intercepted on a play where he had pressure right in his face from the middle of that defensive line. So it could have very well been a sack. If it wasn't, he was hurried to the point where he hung the ball up down the middle. And that's where Robinson grabbed his interception, because he hung it up with a high safety and the safety just went and got it. So again, they weren't perfect, but in this discussion, I'm just not sold that this is Puglisi's backup quarterback job. And I'm just telling you, I'm going to keep an eye on it once we get down into the season, especially early in the year, where the Dogs might have an opportunity to play some of these dudes in those early games. I'm really going to be watching it to see who the first guy off the bench is going to be. We'll see. Right now, we don't know, but we'll see. I think that's a good observation there, Scott. Let's see. What else we got going on? Oh, yeah, Justin. That defensive idea, that identity, that it got me all kinds of excited. Y'all know if you watch the channel here a lot, I'm a defensive guy. I mean, this is, 27 years of doing nothing but looking at defense. And I like what I see. I like it. They got to grow, but man, I like it. Yeah, Justin, I see you're saying the quarterbacks didn't look good today. I would agree. Now, again, they didn't look great. But if we're, comparing apples to apples, I stand by everything I just said there. Yes, Justin, I agree. Secondary looked nice. Cornerbacks were all over them, and that's without what we would consider our top two, ER4 and DeMello. They weren't even on the field. And you've got guys back there on the back end doing things. And if that locks into place, look out. Talking about that defense, look out. Because, again, if ER4's back there taking away half the field, you've got KG over the top and whoever they sort out to play that second safety. Then you've got really good options at the other corner, whether it's DeMello or somebody else. Yeah, that pass rush gets that much better. Tick, tick, tick. So I expect them to play the run as good as they did last year. And I really think that by the time we get around to the fall, that's gonna be a good looking defense. Jimmy Spires is in here from Jackson, Georgia. Welcome in, Jimmy. Will Clapton's in here from Claremont, Georgia. Good to see you. It's so nice to have guys come in here who I haven't seen their names before, or ladies. It's fantastic. Jeffrey G. Floyd Jr. Go Dogs. Rockingham, North Carolina. Stand up. That's what I like to see. Joel Howell, Diamond Dogs won a football game today against Arkansas. Nice. I'll tell you what, when those Diamond Dogs, when they're right, man, they're impressive. We've been out to see them this year, and we're going to head back out here in a couple weeks and watch them play again. When they are right, that group is a whole lot of fun. Yes, Scott. Yeah, Beaver, he looked nice. He really did look nice. I understand there's a 27, the top quarterback in 27 is going to commit this next weekend. Who knows if he's going to decide to commit to Georgia or not. They've already got the kid from 28 committed. He's the number one quarterback in that class. I mean, the Georgia quarterback room is just, we know what it is now. Competition with talented athletes, and they're just going to keep bringing them in. And this is where the people who bang on Georgia's offense, it's where they don't seem to want to put two and two together. It's like a disassociation. You don't get these dudes consistently considering Georgia or choosing to come to Georgia or committing, whatever it is. You don't get them. They're not even in the conversation unless they can see what the offense is. And it is a pro-style offense, and all these dudes want to go play in the league. So if you want a guy that's going to throw for 5,000, 8,000 yards the way Andre Ware did back in the day, go play in the run and shoot, right? But if you want a guy who's going to learn how to run a pro-style offense, then Georgia's as good as option as any in the country. And that's just the facts. Again, these people are making decisions about the rest of their lives, or at least the next few years of their lives, and Georgia's consistently in that conversation. That has to tell you something, whether we want to admit it or not. And I agree with you here, DSA 1569. Welcome in. He's like Montgomery. I assume it's he. If not, my bad. Says Montgomery looked really good. I hear you, man. I hear you. All the quarterbacks are mobile, which is something we've been talking about here a lot tonight. So let's see. Oh, DSG's throwing it out there. He's already calling his shot. I hope you're right, friend. I hope you're right. Come on back. We'll celebrate right here. I promise you. I haven't been doing this since Georgia's won a national championship. I started the year after. And that had nothing to do with the fact that they had won the title. It was just where I was in my life, my journey. And so my first year was, after the 22 title. I had started that spring, 23. So I haven't even had a Dawgs national title doing this show. Man, let me tell you, if that goes down, we are going to have some fun on this channel. And I don't mean just the fact that we're going to celebrate. It would be content like you wouldn't imagine. So I'm looking forward to that when that comes. Looking forward to that. Let's see here. Well, who else is in here? He won't need surgery. Okay, so Michael's clearing something up here for us. He says Ellis Robinson won't need surgery like they initially thought, which is good because I saw today where it was listed as an MCL strain and an ankle. And originally I had heard, tightrope, all that kind of stuff. So if that's the case, great. I was about to ask the player with a serious, DSA. That was, there's a Morris Williams, right? The ACL. And then the next one that would get your attention is Ellis Robinson. So looks like Ellis is good. He was walking around down there today. The banged up crew, they were down there doing the rubber band stretchy things in the corner of the end zone, which was pretty cool. Yes. Morris Williams is out for the year with his ACL. That's right, Michael. Absolutely. 478 dog. Hez. No, is I reading that right? Yeah. Hez has gotten so much better. No, I agree. Buddha looked good. He also had moments where you're like, come on, man, what are we doing? Like you could tell it was a fundamentals thing. It was, or maybe he just tried to choke the ball, like didn't want to let it go. I saw him put a couple at the receiver's feet. I saw him throw the ball high a couple times, but I also saw him throw a couple of really nice strikes. And there's no doubt that he's got a big arm and he can use his legs too. So Hez is absolutely getting better. And I wondered about that as I was watching this thing today, based off of the conversation we were just having about the quarterbacks and the kind of players that Georgia's bringing in at that position. I'm like, this is a young man who is committed to Boise State. If he'd gone out to Boise State, he's probably, competing for a starting job out there. But here in Athens, he's, QB3, maybe QB4, but he's getting reps and he's getting better and he's growing. And that tells you that he is making choices. He's like, I could go play somewhere else, or I could stay here and continue to improve my skill set at the University of Georgia. So far, he's chosen to stay. And I'm happy to see that he's able to take what he's doing in practice and bring it out onto the field and show us some stuff. But he looked nice. Touchdown run today was nice. I did chuckle on the Jay Lamar run. Did Jay Lamar score? I don't remember if he scored or if they scored on the next play, but I think it was the next play. But Buddha was doing the ride and read on the option, and he held it and rode the mesh. And then at the last second, it was like he was going to pull it and go with it. But Jay Lamar was like, nope, and like snatched the ball and kept it, and had a nice gain. It was like a nice 5-yard gain. I think he was tackled short, but I just got a chuckle out of that. I mean, you got a true freshman who had his hands on the ball, and you've got a young man who wants to read that play out and then show his athletic ability. And it was just funny. Little things you notice, it didn't mean anything to anybody probably, but I thought it was pretty cool. QBs now want the playing time. Absolutely. That's why we lost Jared Curtis. No problem. That's exactly right. And that's fine. They can go make their choices, right? If you want to go play, go play. Just understand what that means. That's all. And I get it. But everybody has to make their choices. Hez is making his. Ryan Puglisi and Montgomery have made theirs, So I'm not concerned about Georgia at the quarterback position moving forward. I'm just not, because there are guys in the room right now that can get it done. Bryson Beaver came. He looks great, or, as good as a true freshman can look at G-Day, and the Dogs are in these battles for these future QBs. I'm just not concerned about it. I think they're gonna be just fine there for a while. Oh, yeah, he did. Speaking of Beaver, he absolutely had some nice throws there for a while. Well, y'all, we've been going already for about an hour. I appreciate everybody who's chosen to hit that thumbs up. Man, that's a high number. We're up at like 60 total there between the hearts and the thumbs up. Costs you nothing. If you're having a good time and I'm doing a good job, please, I hope you'll keep hitting that thumbs up. Or better yet, how about dropping a subscribe? We show up every week, more than once, and we're talking Georgia football all the time. And I think that this community, and they'll talk to you here in the chat if you're not sure, they'll tell you that this is the most welcoming community in the Georgia football ecosystem. And everybody's welcome here. We have a great time. So maybe drop a subscribe if you haven't already, because it costs you nothing and helps us out tremendously, just so you know. And I appreciate you for being here. Now, speaking of subscriptions and that sort of thing. The people who have chosen to join me over on How About Them Dogs Plus, well, I made you a promise, and we're about to get into that right here in just a minute. I'm back. Thanks. Sorry about that. So what I was saying is CJ Wiley has, he's showing us that he deserves to be on the field. I'm not concerned. He's going to work it out. He's going to be a player for the Dogs here in 26. So I'm not sure how much you missed, so I'll recap real quick. If you choose to be a member over at How About Them Dogs Plus, that makes you eligible for things like these exclusive premium giveaways. Tonight, we've got two for 2 different levels over there. You can choose to subscribe 1 or 2 different ways. Either way, that opens the door for things like this. So first, we've got a CJ Wiley autograph jersey that we're about to give away right here. I'm going to pop this up on the screen, and you guys are going to see it as it happens. But before we do that, the other drawing that we're going to do tonight is a Nate Frazier signed football. So again, the only way to be eligible for these is if you are a member over on the Patreon page. If you're not, I would encourage you to hit the link in the description below. Go check it out. You can do a free trial membership over there. Everything that we do ends up over there on that page. If you were a channel member here on YouTube before, that was amazing. I appreciate that. And now I've made your life easier. If you choose to continue to support us at all, you can do that over at Patreon. If you want to get everything that we have to offer, you can do that over on Patreon. And there is more stuff over there than I have ever been able to do just here on YouTube. Plus stuff like this, and a private community, and private live streams, which we'll be having tomorrow for those who choose to be a member at that tier. So just saying, if you hadn't checked it out, I hope you will. I think you'll like it. So tonight we're going to do CJ Wiley, and then we're going to do Nate Frazier. So what I want to do is bring everything up on screen here so you can see it. You see that you're going to find out about it just like I'm going to find out about it in real time right here. You can see the names on the board here are people who are choosing to be subscribers currently over on Plus. And this is everyone who is choosing to support the channel. You are all in the spin here for the CJ Wiley jersey. So we're going to click it. Best of luck to everybody. And we'll take care of everything on the back end in terms of making sure you get what you need. So again, good luck, everybody. Here you go. This is for the CJ Wiley jersey. My guy, Tim. There you go, Tim. I know you were looking forward to these drawings tonight. You are our first winner. Tim Busha has won the CJ Wiley autograph jersey. If y'all will, please drop it in the chat here. A little congratulations. Let him know that we're happy it happened for him, because that's a good deal. Now, what I'm going to do is update our list here, and we're going to do the drawing for those people who choose to be part of the elite tier over there on Patreon. They are in the drawing for the Nate Frazier autographed football. And that's what we're going to do right now. So here's our winner. Best of luck to everybody on the Nate autographed football. Let's see who we got. Antoine, my guy, the first person to choose to support the channel in any way. Once we got this thing ramped up and going, my guy, Antoine, I'm so happy that you finally got something cool as a result of your support. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing that. So there are our winners. We have Tim with the CJ Wiley jersey. We have Antoine here for the Nate Frazier football. And I am just tickled pink that you guys have chosen to support the channel in that way, because it's like the more that I see that you guys enjoy the work, the more that I want to do for you. And I am just thrilled that the guys who won tonight were fortunate enough to get those selections. That is really, really cool. So now let's jump on back over here to, the live logo, because this is where we're going to wind things up. I got to tell you, friends, we are all just really, really fortunate when it comes to being a Georgia Bulldog fan, because as long as Kirby Smart is in Athens, the Dogs are going to be in this conversation. There's no two ways around it. The thing about the playoffs in any sport is they're hard, and the margins are razor thin. So are the Dogs going to just, rack up title after title? No. But the one thing about Georgia football right now is they are the class in the SEC. 3 out of the last 4 SEC titles makes that point. They're going to be right in the mix again this year. I had someone ask me today, when I was over there meeting up with Stetson and Keeley and doing all that stuff before the game, I had somebody ask me, what do you think? How do you think we're going to look? I said, well, I think they're going to clear that 9.5 win betting line that's out there. I think they're going to do better than that. They could go 10-2. They could go 12-0. We'll dial that in as we get a little bit closer to the season here, but I think the Dogs are going to be right in the mix for yet another trip to Atlanta and another opportunity to play for an SEC championship. It's a tough road. There are a couple of games here or there that could tell the tale, but I think the Dogs are going to have a very real chance to get that done. And walking away from G-Day today, there's nothing that I saw that would make me back off of that at all. Georgia's going to be right there. They're going to be in the mix of this whole thing. It's just like it always is. Injuries, and not just injuries. When do they happen? Right? Look at what happened to Georgia at the end of last year, right before the playoffs. You lose 2 starters. Timing is everything. Maybe you just lose the wrong game. And for Georgia, I understand that they haven't gotten past the Sugar Bowl the last 2 years, but when you look at how that has happened, it's not nearly as awful a situation as some might have you believe. This Georgia team is young and talented. They're growing up, and they are going to be there this fall. I really don't have any doubt about that. It's going to be another fun season between the hedges. There are things, that have to happen before Georgia can achieve the way we all want them to. But the pieces are in place. I've long said that this wide receiver room is more than good enough to do everything that Georgia needs them to do. I saw nothing today to make me look at that and go, yeah, that's not true. I obviously love the tight end room. There are weapons all over the place in there. They are going to find a way to get them on the field and utilize them. Jaden Riddell, big year incoming. He's going to have every opportunity to show us exactly why he was one of the top-rated tight ends when he chose to come to Georgia. We've got Caden Prothro. Call him a wide receiver, call him an X factor, call him a tight end, whatever. Doesn't matter. The young man can play. He's going to see the football field. And there are other young players all over this roster that are going to make an impact for Georgia, and that is very, very, very exciting. Now, we can only do this thing one game at a time. So whether it's, we're talking about Tennessee State to start the year, or if we're talking about something a little bit later, bottom line is you have to show up and play each and every week. And again, injuries are a part of it. How things line up around you, right? You can only control what happens inside your building. You don't know what's happening across the rest of college football. All of those things are going to factor together. But this team looks like it's going to be every bit the contender that we've come to expect from Kirby Smart during his time in Athens. So let me jump on back in here and see who's saying what in the chat here before we get out. I appreciate that heads up, Bruce. I can't believe I let the mute button get me right there. I was kind of embarrassed about that, but thanks for letting me know. I appreciate it, fellas. Carol, I see you guys letting me know. Thanks. I hope it wasn't on there for too long. And then we got Shop Images in here. Kamari Brooks is my nephew. Welcome in, first off, and that's cool. He had a really nice day today. I was happy to see the young man get out there and do some stuff. That was fun. Let's see. Hez did play well. I agree with you there. And I appreciate you guys tossing out some congratulations to people and letting them know what's going on. That's good stuff. I appreciate that. And yeah, Henry, thanks for showing up, man. Henry Dion jumping in here, letting us know he thought the offensive line looked impressive. Absolutely. I agree. What else we got? Angela, there you are. Hell, welcome in. Hello. Good to see you. There's Kim popping back in with some congratulations. There we go. That's awesome. Timothy's in here. Of course he is. Shane sneaking in here at the wire. Man, we've been cranking it out for over an hour, Shane. Good to see you jump in here, buddy. Good to see you. Dr. Woo 843 says, what's up, Randy? Good to see you, Dr. Woo. Happy you're in here. Big boy's in here. So you're looking around? Hey, I appreciate that. We got there. I don't know. We probably got into the stadium. We got sat down right about kickoff because we were coming from, like I said, I had the stuff going on before the game. So we didn't get there to right about kickoff. We were on the north side of the stadium, probably, I don't know, maybe 30-yard line, 20 or 30-yard line. And we were well up in the stands there. You know, we didn't try to get down close. And we had a good time. I hate I missed you, but I appreciate you looking out. That was awesome. We had a few people who did come up and say hello. That was nice. A few folks at the signing earlier today. A couple once we were on our way to the stadium inside the stadium. So I had a pocket full of stickers. Man, I had all kinds of good stuff. I was handing them out like candy. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you guys looking for me. That was awesome. I hate I missed you. Maybe we'll catch you on the next one. But yep, guys, if you got any questions or anything you want to point out, drop them in here and let me know. But keep in mind that tomorrow night we'll be back. We'll be back here tomorrow for 7 o'clock for the Sunday Bones show, Dog Bones, where we talk about everything in the week that was Georgia. We'll be back here for another hour tomorrow night. And then for our subscribers over on Plus, we're going to do another live stream. We're just going to keep it rolling. Once we get to 8 o'clock, we're going to keep that rolling, and we're going to roll right into the members only live stream over there. And that'll be cool because we'll be doing some Q&A specifics about the games. I'm sure it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to that too. So lots of stuff over here, man. We are just getting started, y'all. We are in April, right? So between now and July, when like SEC Media Days happens, and then from July on, it's over. But from now to July, we're just going to keep it rolling. We got some fun stuff coming, interviews coming, different perspectives from around the conference about our Bulldogs and where they sit and what's going on with the SEC right now. Expectations from people who are not Dogs fans about what this team could be. We've got all that and much, much more headed your way. And then once talking season gets here, we are downhill to football, and then we will really crank this thing up. So, you know, I am excited. This is going to be the biggest and best year yet for the channel. So again, if you're not dialed in, go ahead and lock it in, as my daughter would say. Give us a shot. Drop a subscribe. I appreciate everybody who decided to offer a thumbs up here this evening. That's fantastic. That just helps tell everybody else about what we're doing over here. And as we sit here right now, these numbers are pretty close. So thank you all for doing that. I appreciate it very much. Let's see. All right. I don't think I see any more. Oh, you watched the stream? Yes, Shane. That's right. Beaver. We talked about him a lot. He looked good today. And y'all got to keep in mind about Beaver. And I was talking to my wife about this. She knows this. She's a huge Dogs fan, but I was just running her through how it all happened with him. Remember, he's a true freshman who signed with Oregon as a top flight quarterback here in 2026, right? One of the premier QBs in the country, signs with Oregon. And then like the next day or that week, the guy who is their starter right now says, you know what? I'm actually going to come back to Oregon. And so Bryson's like, okay. And then Dylan Raiola, remember him? He decides he's going to transfer from Nebraska out to Oregon. So now you've got these two right there. And Bryson's sitting over there like, man. And so he immediately says, adios, Ducks, jumps into the portal, figures it out, comes to Georgia for a visit, says, yep, I'm going to be a Dog. And then he comes out here today and plays like this. That's pretty impressive. Head's still spinning. And he's out here showing us what he's all about. So yeah, man, I enjoyed watching Beaver play today. I thought that was good stuff. And I know Carol, I see y'all talking about the tight ends over here. I know my girl Carol was like, hey, Caden Pro Throw. I was like, yeah, I know. But it was nice to see him get out there and do some stuff. That was a fun thing to see. So that was good stuff. Will says it's time to be alpha dogs. Man, I'm with you there. Hello from Trenton, Georgia. That's awesome. Yeah, that Beaver kid, he can sling it now. And again, the thing that I noticed, you could just tell the way he's confident, he stands in the pocket, he's confident, he throws a good ball, and he is looking to give his wide receivers an opportunity to make a play. He's like, oh, man, I'm sticking it in there. Show me. You got to like that as a quarterback. I mean, or as a Dogs fan from your quarterback. That's what you got to like. You just can't play the game scared. And it looks like he doesn't have that problem. So that's cool. Y'all excuse me here for a second. Talking myself into a cough here. Don't mean to do that. But yeah, let's see. Make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat here. Dude, that's all. I see Big Boys comment again. That's awesome. That you were like, hey, where's Randy? That's awesome. I appreciate that. Really. I appreciate that very much. And you know what, Carol? I think this is true. I'm going to throw this on the screen too, because here's the thing. Actually, let's do this. Let's do this. Make this thing a little bit bigger. There we go. I don't know why it changed up size on me there. So there we go. All right. So Carol's saying he's making the kids around here believe they can do anything they want to do down in Bowden. Bowden? Am I doing that right, Carol? I'm pretty sure. Caden is role model down here. This is absolutely true. I have only met Caden once, and that was at the signing event, a couple of weeks ago. Well, it's a month and a half ago or so. And he was a quiet young man, very nice though. But y'all know, I get on here, I talk about these players, I let you know what I think I see in them. And I take those comments and I break them out into short form, and then I'll post those. And Caden's video is one where people consistently show up and say good things about the young man in the comments below. Forget me, whatever. But they make it a point to comment on the young man, right? And or post pictures of their kids with him or whatever. And I got to tell you, that is a really cool thing. It's cool for him. It's cool for his family. And then the fact that he's out here and he still gets to chase his dream and go be a fine football player just makes it that much better. And I think it's really cool that it's not that, people are happy for him. They're like, that kid's going to be really good. Watched him play here, all this stuff. All that's great. But especially, as a dad, like when I hear people talk about my girls that way, completely separate from me, but about the kind of people that they are, and they say things like that, man, that makes you feel different. And I know that it has to make Caden feel good, and I know that has to make his family feel good, and I'm happy for him. So nothing but huge success is what I wish for him, because he's doing all the things. He's being a good young man. He's being a fantastic football player. He's doing all the things. So, man, I tell you what, I'm rooting for him. That is for sure. And like I said, I know Carol is rooting for him. He's from that area down there. And and she's been telling us about the kind of player he was and the kind of person he is. And that's going back to that whole community thing. I really appreciate the fact that our people who hang out over here and watch our stuff and interact in these live streams, that's what they're talking about, is about the players as people, not just the players as, employees or people that they're watching on TV or like it's a video game or something. The people who come into these chats and share these stories and I, and I'm talking about everybody from Ernest Green's dad to Prothrow's mom, like Kendall Milton's dad came on a while back. this channel, this space, this community is just not the same. It's not the same. And it might not be your speed, and that's okay. But I love the way this group hangs out over here and chats and talks. So I appreciate you all for that, because I think that's pretty cool. All right, everybody. I think I'm done. I think I need to go drink some more water and get some dinner. I hope you guys enjoyed the chat. I will see you all back here tomorrow night. Keep in mind that we are live every Wednesday for a weekly live stream. We are live every Sunday, both nights at 7 p.m. for the Dog Bones show, where we talk about everything that happened in the week of Georgia football. And there is always content coming from the channel, short form. Follow us on all the socials so you don't miss anything. And if you're interested, I hope you'll check out Plus, because there's a whole lot of cool stuff going on over there. And if you won a drawing tonight, I will reach out to you in the community or via email. I'll get in touch with you directly, and we can sort out how we can get your stuff to you as soon as possible. Kim, everybody else, y'all have a wonderful night. Take care of your families, your friends. Take care of each other. And as always, go Dogs!